NEC Section 400.8 addresses the use of flexible cords and cables and specifically allows for the installation of receptacles in recessed enclosures such as those commonly found in ceilings, provided that certain conditions are met. The first condition is accessibility. The receptacle must be readily accessible, meaning it shouldn't be obstructed by other equipment or materials that would prevent easy access for maintenance or replacement. This accessibility ensures that electricians can perform necessary work on the receptacle without undue difficulty. Secondly, the enclosure must provide adequate space for the receptacle and its terminations. This means there should be enough room inside the enclosure to properly install the receptacle, make secure wire connections, and accommodate the flexible cord of the wireless access point without causing undue stress on the connections or the receptacle itself. Cramped conditions can lead to overheating, loose connections, and potential safety hazards. Thirdly, the enclosure must be constructed to protect the receptacle from physical damage. The enclosure should be robust enough to withstand the environmental conditions and potential physical impacts it might encounter in its installed location. This could include protection from dust, moisture, impacts, or other factors that could compromise the receptacle's integrity. Finally, the enclosure must not increase the temperature of the receptacle beyond its rated limits. Receptacles are designed to operate within a specific temperature range, and exceeding this range can lead to premature failure or even fire hazards. The enclosure must be designed and ventilated in such a way that it does not trap heat and cause the receptacle to overheat. In the specific scenario of installing a 120 volts receptacle inside a recessed enclosure for wireless access point equipment, it's crucial to ensure that the enclosure meets all of the aforementioned requirements. Firstly, confirm that the receptacle is easily accessible for maintenance and replacement. Secondly, verify that the enclosure provides sufficient space for the receptacle, wiring, and the flexible cord of the wireless access point. Thirdly, ensure that the enclosure is sturdy and protects the receptacle from physical damage. Finally, assess the enclosure's design to ensure it doesn't cause the receptacle to overheat. Meeting all these conditions ensures compliance with NEC Section 400.8 and contributes to a safe and reliable installation. The installation of a 120 volts receptacle within a recessed enclosure for a wireless access point demands careful attention to detail and adherence to electrical codes to ensure safety and functionality. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, provides comprehensive guidelines for such installations, and specifically Section 400.8 addresses the use of flexible cords and cables in these scenarios. This section permits the installation of receptacles within recessed enclosures, provided that several critical conditions are satisfied. It is imperative that the receptacle remains readily accessible. This means that it should not be obstructed by any other equipment or materials that would impede access for maintenance, inspection, or replacement. Accessibility is paramount for ensuring that electricians can perform necessary tasks without encountering undue difficulty or compromising safety. The enclosure must offer adequate space to accommodate not only the receptacle itself, but also all associated wiring and terminations. Sufficient space prevents overcrowding, which can lead to overheating, loose connections, and potential electrical hazards. The wiring should be neatly organized and properly secured within the enclosure to minimize the risk of damage or accidental disconnection. The enclosure must provide robust protection to the receptacle from physical damage. This includes shielding the receptacle from potential impacts, dust, moisture, and other environmental factors that could compromise its integrity and performance. The enclosure's construction should be durable and capable of withstanding the conditions present in its installed location. It is essential that the enclosure does not contribute to an increase in the receptacle's operating temperature beyond its rated limits. Receptacles are designed to function within a specific temperature range, and exceeding this range can lead to premature failure, reduced performance, or even fire hazards. The enclosure's design should facilitate adequate ventilation and heat dissipation to prevent the buildup of excessive heat. In the context of installing a 120 volts receptacle for a wireless access point within a recessed enclosure, several additional considerations come into play. The wireless access point typically relies on a flexible cord for power, which must be properly managed and protected to prevent damage or strain. The receptacle should be of appropriate amperage rating and designed for the specific type of plug used by the wireless access point. It is also crucial to ensure that the wiring within the enclosure is properly sized and insulated to handle the electrical load of the wireless access point. The installation must comply with all applicable local and national electrical codes, and it is recommended to consult with a qualified electrician to ensure that the installation is performed safely and correctly. Proper grounding is essential for all electrical installations, including receptacles within recessed enclosures. The receptacle should be properly grounded to prevent electrical shocks and ensure the safe operation of the wireless access point. All grounding connections should be made in accordance with NEC requirements. The use of appropriate strain relief mechanisms is crucial for preventing stress on the flexible cord and its connections to the receptacle. Strain relief devices help to secure the cord and prevent it from being pulled or damaged, which could lead to electrical hazards. The installation should be visually inspected to ensure that all connections are secure, wiring is properly routed, and the enclosure is properly closed and secured. Any signs of damage or improper installation should be addressed immediately. Regular inspections should be conducted to identify any potential problems, such as loose connections, damaged wiring, or signs of overheating. Prompt maintenance can prevent minor issues from escalating into more serious electrical hazards. Consider using tamper-resistant receptacles, especially in locations where children or unauthorized personnel may have access. Tamper-resistant receptacles have built-in safety features that prevent objects from being inserted into the slots, reducing the risk of electrical shocks. Ensure that the enclosure is properly labeled to indicate the voltage and amperage rating of the receptacle, as well as any other relevant information. Clear labeling helps to prevent accidental overloading or misuse of the receptacle. When selecting a receptacle for installation within a recessed enclosure, choose a model that is specifically designed for such applications. These receptacles often have features that make them easier to install or maintain in confined spaces. If the recessed enclosure is located in a damp or wet location, use a receptacle that is rated for wet locations and install it in a weatherproof enclosure. This will help to prevent corrosion and electrical hazards. Consider using a ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI, receptacle in locations where there is a risk of electrical shock, such as near water sources. GFCI receptacles are designed to trip quickly in the event of ground fault, preventing serious injury. When installing a receptacle within a recessed enclosure, be sure to follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully. This will help to ensure that the receptacle is installed correctly and will function properly. Always disconnect the power supply before working on any electrical equipment. This will help to prevent electrical shocks and injuries. Use appropriate personal protective equipment, or PPE, when working on electrical equipment, such as gloves and safety glasses. This will help to protect you from electrical hazards. If you are not comfortable working on electrical equipment, hire a qualified electrician to perform the installation. This will help to ensure that the installation is done safely and correctly. The NEC provides detailed guidance on the installation of electrical equipment in various locations and environments. It is essential to familiarize yourself with the relevant NEC requirements before undertaking any electrical work. Proper planning and preparation are crucial for a successful and safe electrical installation. Take the time to assess the installation location, gather the necessary materials and tools, and review the relevant codes and standards. Adhering to these guidelines and best practices will help to ensure that the installation of a 120 volts receptacle within a recessed enclosure for a wireless access point is performed safely, correctly, and in compliance with all applicable regulations. The importance of proper installation techniques and adherence to safety protocols cannot be overstated, as they are essential for protecting people and property from electrical hazards. Remember to always prioritize safety when working with electricity and to consult with qualified professionals when needed.